Well, as in when we take your names, I see Mr. Jaiswal getting a little tense. Mr. Jaiswal, very simple question. As and when we take your name, there's a small question that we will put forward, and we would want you to answer just the question, nothing else, because we want you to save your best for the session. And the question revolves around your topic itself, vaguely. So the question is, what is that one quality you look for when promoting your team members from this role to this? Team members, hope you're making notes, and yes, you can thank me later. All right, let's start with the man with the toughest job, our moderator, Mr. Ashutosh Jaiswal, the head commercial digital enablers, the Coca-Cola company. Mr. Jaiswal, what is that one quality that you look for?
So I look for soft skills rather than hard skills. I look for the right attitude. That's my number one quality I'm looking for.
Fantastic. By the way, gentlemen, our leaders, please don't be surprised if you find my resume somewhere in your mailbox, either spam or the inbox. Just have a look. I am making notes as well. Fantastic. Thank you so much for the answer, Mr. Jaiswal. And we'll follow with our speaker. We've got Mr. Rajnish Narula, Business Excellence Director, Pfizer. Mr. Rajnish, what would your answer be?
Yeah, so very similar to our leader, right? So very similar to him. But in general, if I want to pick one particular aspect of soft skills, and that will be ability to go the extra mile, right? So I will look for someone who is always looking for doing something more, not just for the company, but for their own growth as well, getting out of their comfort zone. Yes.
Fantastic answer, Mr. Rajnish. And yes, making notes exactly is what I'm doing. while you say these wonderful, life advices. Fantastic. All right, quickly moving on to our next speaker, we have Mr. Pranav Banagi, the CEO of Petronas. Mr. Pranav, what would your answer be?
My answer is willingness. So on the scale and will, I think I put will on top. And that translates into a lot of good actions from an employee perspective. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pranav. Let's continue with Mr. Sazali Sukardi, the Senior Vice President, CyberSecurity, Malaysia. Mr. Sazali, what would your answer be? Would it be in continuation with how our existing leaders have already mentioned soft skills?
Okay. We are living in the era where our world are converging, cyber and physical. And not only we have to understand the traditional way of doing things, but we have to understand the technology. And more importantly, we also have to make sure our environment is secure so that we can benefit whatever application we want to use to achieve our objective. Because I am from a security background, I will address this issue from a cybersecurity perspective.
Absolutely. Fantastic answer. Thank you so very much, Mr. Pranav and Mr. Sazali. Gentlemen, stage is all yours. What fantastic answers. I'm actually very happy to hear that technical skills sort of rank low in the rung, but fantastic. Good to know. And team members, like I said, thank me later. You can send in your compliments to me somewhere. Fantastic. Gentlemen, stage is all yours. Thank you so much again.
Thanks, Nikita. I think it's a good start. We start talking about people, but yeah, let me take, I think you already know the panelists today, and let me again welcome you to this panel discussion. So today we are going to talk about automation from different angles, and I think I would like to start first as a quick, a roundtable in terms of understanding what is the first thing come to our mind when we talk about automation? Because automation basically means different thing to different people. It's not just about business world, but in our day-to-day life, we are using automation everywhere. So if I start with myself, I think for me, automation is about priority. What is priority for me, and how can I achieve priority through automation? So that's my view on automation. But I would like to also do a roundtable with my speakers. What is one thing or one line comes to your mind when you think about automation? starting with Pranav first.
One thing that comes to my mind is consistency. Same thing,
Okay.
same output, any time of the day, any time of the night.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yes, consistency is important. Yeah, to Rajnish.
Yeah, so Pranav read my mind. I had written down exactly the same, consistency.
Awesome.
Yeah, we are in the manufacturing business, so consistency matters to us. But if I want to add one more thing to that, will be removing the reliance on human, memory. Basically, the errors. Typically there are human errors which are related to when you're doing things based on off your memory, right? So things that can be done automatically, and that will give consistency, eliminate errors. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about Sazali? What do you think?
Today's activities are very complex, and our people, they always demand efficient services. In no way we can deliver that services through manual method, and we have no choice then to automate some of the activities in order to deliver such services.
Yeah, that's great. I think that's a very good start to get a feel of what automation is all about. So we do hear so much about technology around us, which is used in automation, and but I guess ultimately it needs to give something in terms of the business, or in terms of the personal life. It should add value to whatever we are trying to do. So ultimately, automation is more about, according to me, it's about adding value. And I think that's where I'm going with my next question is, what kind of business value automation can add? Or if automation is already there, can it be a competitive advantage across the businesses when we are competing in a certain industry? So I would like to gather some of the thoughts of my panelists around this in terms of automation being a competitive advantage, and share your experience from your own industries. Starting with Pranav first.
Sure, I'll take a stab at it, but I would love to hear from you guys as well.
Absolutely.
Being the FMCG and also Rajnish. See, I think competitive advantage from automation is definitely, if I look at it in the post-COVID world, is about really having having a setup which sort of reduces the reliance on the human intervention to a level where we are able to withstand the shocks that we are continuously seeing in our markets. And I think particularly I would just go back to the COVID times where a lot of the office people were working from home. And I remember speaking about this in certain forums. We all knew that our manufacturing folks, our logistics folks, warehouse folks, they had to be on site. Yes. And I think that sort of opened up a completely new era for automation, is that whether some of that can be then remotely monitored, remotely executed, and what that industry 6.0 or even beyond that would be is where I can sit like this and manage a plant, say in Singapore or Malaysia or Thailand, sitting somewhere in Mumbai or Bali. I think that's where we're going to go through. So in this new world, competitive advantage would be to have safe and secure output and withstanding the shocks which your competitors would face in this space.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I second the thoughts from Pranav. I think COVID, we all have gone through so many waves in our respective countries in COVID, and we all realized that through this digital transformation, through this automation, is all as becoming part of the survival. It's not really about you can transform your whole life or transform your whole company, but it's a matter of survival these days that you need automation to exist. So I guess it's becoming, it used to be nice to have for some people, but it's becoming more and more part of our lives. And I think slightly changing the flow of the discussion now. So I want to go to Rajnish and talking about some of what's your experience in terms of IT and digital transformation in manufacturing specifically, because I know that in digital transformation there's a lot of automation technology and are being used, and then also even if with the use of technology it depends some are successful, some are not. Depends on how you drive the change. So what's your thoughts on that, Ranjit?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe I'll just like to add something to the earlier question as well.
Sure.
Not taking example from pharma, but a very common example that everybody knows, right?
Yeah.
We all know that the planes are best flown with in the autopilot mode, right?
Mm-hmm.
We can't imagine flying in a plane where the pilot was flying it for 8 hours. We can't imagine that, right? So it's such a hazardous task, right? So it is. So it's an added, it's an edge that you can fly only with an autopilot mode. Likewise, there in pharma manufacturing or chemical manufacturing, there are hazardous operations which are best done with automation only, right? So now, given that, traditionally, we had automation in our pharma manufacturing for a number of years. I have been in this industry for 25 years. We had some, the basic process control systems and the PLCs, and those are basic automations that are always there. Now, so over the last 5-10 years, what I have noticed is that we have started gradually to move towards the digital transformation, where we have started making better use of the data that we already had. We had that, like from our process control system, we get data every millisecond, every 10 milliseconds, right? From the temperature, the sensors, and so on, right? But we were just using it to operate the plant in a safe way and in a consistent way. But now we have started to get even more insights from that data, right? So we have started trying to predict the failure, right? So we have also started to connect it with our manufacturing execution systems. We have connected it with the enterprise resource planning. So now you can see that the pyramid that we have, at the base you have automation, in the middle there is manufacturing execution, at the top there is ERP, enterprise. So they're all getting connected now. So it's fascinating that over the last 5-10 years I've seen the lines are getting blurred. The people who were good at automation, they have to learn about IT stuff, and likewise the IT people have to learn about OT stuff, so which is automation. So it's really becoming very interesting. It's really opening up horizons for them also. And my observation is that it was already there. The data was there. The stuff was there. It's just that we're making good use of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So just commenting on your response, so very valid. So basically, the feedback loop, once you start going in, I think that makes a lot of difference. So once you start reviewing your performance and then starting to change it in the right direction, that's where you start to see the business results. So I think that's based on my experience too. So the whole digital transformation, whichever industry it is.
Yeah. Sorry, I'll just, I know we're
yes,
going to move on to that. Maybe for Rajnish, I'll just park this question for you. Is that how do you then handle exceptions? But we can come back to that later. Because the challenge is that the autopilot doesn't always continue. You need the guy to land it or a girl to land it. So we can touch it later.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So
good point,
I think it's a good point. I will see if we can come back to it if we have time. But I want to move on for now. So I think my next I want to move on a little bit in the different directions. We have Sazali as our security and cybersecurity expert. We do also want to hear his thoughts on how do you see cybersecurity playing a role in the whole manufacturing and automation space? And in your example, what are the case studies you can share with us where is becoming like the integral part of it? From the traditional security where the security used to be separate from the business, where there is these days is becoming more and more integrated. So I'm sure you have plenty of experience in this space. What's your thoughts on that, Sadali?
Okay, thank you. One thing that we have to realize, based on what happened in the past, technology revolution not only has changed the way we live, but also the way the threat is changing and the way we should perceive security. So today we are in the era of digital, and we have to recognize we are facing new security challenges in the form of cyber threat. And not only technology become advanced and organization become high-tech, so do cyber attack and cyber criminals. This one we have to agree. And how to respond is another issue there, because criminal, they are always ahead of us. They always benefit from the advancement of technologies to enhance their knowledge and skill. And they always come up with new tools and techniques in combating cyber attack, replacing traditional methods. So equally important, we have to respond to the changing threat environment and the changing technology. So failing to respond effectively, our organization might not be irrelevant today. So as an organization, not only you must know how to apply new technologies, automation, maybe all these industry 4.0 or the component inside, but equally important, we must understand how to make sure that technology are secure. Otherwise, if we don't ensure the protection of this technology later will be misused by the criminal to go against us. And they are using the same system and the same infrastructure to attack. And most of the technology that we are using today, mostly they are invented to provide convenient services, because they are meant to be used by users. So all of us are using mobile devices, cloud computing, easy for us. But all these convenient things are not good for security, because security and convenience are two opposite things. Meaning that if we want more convenient, technology has to be less secure. But if you want more secure technology, the technology is less secure. So how to balance? And we have to realize that we are living in the world today where security and risk must coexist. And we must also realize there is no way we can achieve 100% security. Absolutely. But the thing is that how to manage the risk. We are not talking about how to eliminate or avoid the risk. We are talking about how to manage the risk, and how to what level that organization want to accept the risk. How much risk they can tolerate, and this is up to the organization. Some organization maybe they can take the risk, but some organization that very particular in security, they cannot accept risk. So these are the things that we should consider, and that's why in cybersecurity we have an area called risk management. And one more thing is that security is costly. Security is costly, and not many industries willing to invest in security. And most of the product out there, especially the industry, sometimes they are rushing to push the product to the market because of business competition, and sometimes these products are not properly evaluated or certified. So there are many loopholes in the product that can be compromised by the criminal, because the criminal they may take time to study the product and matter of time for them to discover the vulnerabilities, and when they found out that vulnerabilities, they will exploit and attack our computers and even hijack our networks without we realize. So cybersecurity, I don't say that cybersecurity is an obstacle to our progression or prosperity. Rather, cybersecurity should act as enabler. Why it is enabler? Because we want to make sure secure application of technology by organization, so that we can have a secure cyber environment. At the end of the day, we want the organization to benefit from technology, and from there they can achieve their business objective. So it got to be hand in hand, and all technology development, IT product must embed cybersecurity in the early stage of their planning and design. And cybersecurity cannot be considered later part, because it's too late to consider cybersecurity in later part, because at that time, maybe whatever technology that we have used or implemented can be exploited by criminals to go against us and cause damage.
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Sazali. I think it's very interesting point that with cybersecurity, if we are slow in terms of transforming our security, we will be left behind, the criminals who are transforming very fast, and sometimes we can invest in their tools faster than us, and then they kind of become more powerful, and then they can create problems for so many organizations. I've experienced in my different corporate experiences that in big corporates, we take security seriously only after a cyber threat attack happens. But
Yeah.
why don't we do a proactive approach when everything is normal? When everything is normal, we are only talking about P&L. But I think security can be a big part of the P&L. It's just the matter of how you look at things. So that's what I think we need to sometime change our mindset in terms of when we talk about cyber security. But just adding my thoughts here in terms of the security. All right, let's move on. So now we talk about some of the good side, and now we also talk a little bit about some of the challenging side, for example, security. But I'm sure there are some of the other challenges we do face when we actually go for any large scale automation or digital transformation program. So that's my next question, which I want to go, and I want to go to Pranav on that. In your experience, Pranav, what are the key challenges you faced in your experience in terms of all these automation programs, in terms of getting the approval, plus also in terms of execution, and how did you overcome them?
Thanks, Ashutosh. I think transformation or digital transformation or whatever transformation, organization transformation, what you call it, it has multiple dimensions. I mean, automation is just a way of doing things differently. Okay. But if you look at the fundamental of organizations, is there are different processes that are in place. And I remember at the turn of the century, we used to have this term which was called BPR. I don't know anybody if that remembers that. Business process re-engineering or something like that.
Yes, yes.
I think that was one of the precursors to all this digital transformation that we are talking about. So at the heart of it, Ashutosh, it's always about the process. So the question that you ask yourself is whether this process that we have, will it remain? So that's an existential question, which is question number one. Mm-hmm. And then if we say that if it remains, then can it be done in a better way? So, collection of money after you sell your goods is a basic process which will remain no matter how you do it. But instead of collecting checks or hard cash, now you can use, anything from cryptocurrency to NFTs. So that's the first question when we begin any organizational digital change. So A, whether the process will remain or the process will change. Now it takes different paths. So if the process itself is going away, which means that we're not going to collect funds for all the goods that we do or the services that we provide, then we have a fundamentally different transformation route, which is a disruption, because the fundamentals of that business itself are going away. However, if the process remains and we're going to optimize it using different tools, different techniques, making it more secure, making it more automated, or what Rajnish was mentioning, more with driving on its own, then it will lead to a different set of challenges as an organization. So 2 or 3 big things I can share, and then we can move on to another one. I think number one, in any change process, the vision has to be very, very clear. What is it that to be state, or what is a picture of success that we want to imagine? I mean, in a personal setup, it's quite easy, right? Even if you're 100 kgs fat, then I can become 65, so I know my picture of success. Whereas in an organization setup, setting up a picture of success can be a little bit more complicated because we don't know where exactly we want to go. So once that is set, I think the second piece is then how do you translate that picture of success to a large number of stakeholders in the organization, which includes the people who are involved, employees, stakeholders, partners, vendors, shareholders, external media, everybody. So what does that change mean to a lot of other people? Because the organization is a symbiotic relationship of many constituents. So second step is how do you translate that vision, what it means for different people. The third is then the journey. I mean, how that journey of transformation is going to be, the ups and downs of it, the highs of it, the lows of it, the points where you want to give up and start binge eating again, go to McDonald's after having stayed away from it for many, many days. So that kind of, the journey of it is then that's the third part. How do you manage the lows? How do you not let the highs go out of your control, etc. And the final piece is then we come to this sort of making it as business as usual. So I think that's, to me, one of the most core learnings that I've picked up. I mean, the change is exciting. The journey is great. There's a lot of attention. After a while, it becomes boring, right? So every day you wake up at 6 and do your yoga when nobody is watching and you're not posting it on Instagram. It can be a lonely, boring exercise. So how do you translate that into a final business as usual? And that's where, stages 3 and 4 is where I see a lot of challenges happen. If not managed properly, it can derail, and you can go back to your stage 1 where it's all a mess again. So that's a sort of a quick perspective. I've spoken on this many times in many forums, but I will stop here and can continue with the rest of the agenda.
Yeah, thanks, Pranav. A very good example also about the transformation in terms of reducing weight, right? So everybody wants to start reducing weight. A lot of people take membership in terms of starting to reduce weight and going to gym and everything. But they face a challenge usually after 1 week or 2 weeks. You tend to face you lose the motivation already because now you're facing the heat. You're part of the journey, and now it's more about perseverance. So that's what I also, based on my experience, I want to add that your initial idea and your vision and your planning only take you a certain level. After that, what takes you even further, actually towards your destination, is the perseverance. You will have plenty of obstacles, especially on any automation or transformation journey. And then how do you react to those challenges, to your different challenges you're facing? How you convince the people around you that this is the right path to go, and the paths which are the others, the paths, they may not be the best for us or for the company. And that's where I think the real test of that plan happens. I have seen also a lot of programs fail in that aspect of it, and not just in company, in personal life too. We sometimes fail to do these things which we want to do. We can dream about big things. I want to have 6 packs, but how realistic it is? Am I ready to work hard on it every day, every single day? So it's a matter of perseverance, commitment. Keep trying, keep learning. So that's the attitude. And I'm a big believer of perseverance. So just wanted to comment on that since we are on the topic. All right, I think conscious of time, I'm trying to move on. Just on a side note, if there are any questions from the audience, please keep them coming. As soon as I have the visibility from the audience questions, I will start putting them in as well. In the meanwhile, I have plenty of questions to continue if there are no audience questions. So now I want to talk about the future, since we have some limited time, where we are going in terms of automation. So what do you see happening in your industry, and what do you see happening in general? So I will start this question from Rajnish. What do you see the future of automation and transformation? Where do you see the big changes happening in your industry specifically? And I'm not asking you to predict, but what you see on the ground happening. That's what I'm talking. So anything you want to share, Rajnish?
Yeah, sure. Actually, the 2 topics that I love, one is the digital transformation, the other one is operational excellence, right? Mm-hmm. So what I'm thinking in near future, they will like marry, they will become like integrated, and yes. In our industry, we have started to see the concept of integrated manufacturing excellence, where we are trying to even integrate our our daily meetings, tier structures, how the information flows about issues, and how we select what are our priorities, what are our goals, and what are our biggest sources of loss. So all these things are really fundamental principles of excellence. And now I see that the digital transformation is making it easier. Basically now we have the vision boards where the information is directly coming from the systems, from the SAP or from laboratory systems. So in the past, where people used to spend time for data mining, or even trying to clean up the data, or trying to make sense of the data, or trying to fight for the data. Some person will say, okay, this data is good, this is bad. So all those things are going away with all these digital transformation coming to the operational excellence, right? So they're basically enabling each other, right? So at that level, and that type of transformation will transform end to end. It will not be just one at a shop floor or in a laboratory. It is really like integrating everything, right? So I think that's what I see that will happen, and most of the pharma industry is moving in that direction. And when it comes to the core of manufacturing, there will be more advanced technologies. Like there are concepts like factory of the future, those kind of things where you build a replica of your factory in a model, and you're able to do a lot of very advanced real-time stuff. You have a lot of parameters during manufacturing, and you can do some correlations, multivariate analysis. Typically those things were done only during a black belt project or a green belt project, when something has gone wrong, or you want to improve the cycle times or the yields, right? So the things that we used to do once off, now with the available technologies, and we should be able to do a lot of these things real time modeling of these. In fact, we have a very good example in one of our factories here, where we use the models, real-time models, to predict one of the parameters for which we used to take sample, and we used to send the sample to the laboratory to confirm whether that is it meeting the specifications or not. So we have eliminated that now. We are basically utilizing the power of real-time analysis and model to predict something for which we were spending extra hours in the past. So I expect these things to happen more and more, but there is some obstacle to that. It looks good, but how fast it can go, it really depends on the vision of the management, as Pranav was saying, and how passionate the management is, and are they beginning with end in mind? Are they going for these kind of technologies because they look cool, or they're going for solving some real tangible business problems, right? So if they're solving some tangible business problems, it will sustain. If it is just going with the flow and not knowing what exactly your end point is, then these don't sustain actually, and there will be very limited interest from the ground to even embrace these. So it's really like showing what is the real problem, what is the real challenge that we're going to solve. And the example that you both mentioned, I would like to add to that. Like, let's say if I want to go for jogging because I want to lose weight, right? So in one of our trainings, we learned about this. They say that there is something called so you do actions. So in this case, the action is running or jogging, right? And the result is you reduce the weight, right? So basically, you started with results in mind. Result is basically I want to lose 5 kg because that's my New Year resolution, right? But after a while, it dies, right? Why it dies is because you did not start with the value. So the third stage is value. So why I'm doing this? So why I want to lose 5 kg, right? So if my value was that I want to stay healthy, I don't want to take medicine, I don't want to get into that, like that. I really want to stay fit without any medication. So if that was my value, right, then my action and my results will be sustained, right? So I think that's I always use this: action, results, and values. So if we start with value, our actions will sustain. But if we start only with the results, it will die after a while.
Absolutely. So I fully agree with that. Actually, it's also another way of seeing it is, outcome instead of output.
Yep.
So it's basically another way of saying the same thing. And I think we hear it all the time. So it's and sometimes when we are starting any new initiative or any new program, we may not know deeper about why we are doing it. But there will be a time in the middle of the journey where you have to be very, very clear why we are doing it. And that will make or break the program. So whether it's personal life or it's a professional life. So I truly believe in that we need to be clear on why we are doing any program or any activity. And even if it takes some time, but it's worth investing your time. All right. I do want to give some time to other speakers also, because I think this future of automation and transformation is a very big topic. And I do want to take inputs from Sazali as well, because I think you kind of come from different angle of the security angle. And I think part of you answered it already, that it's going to be more and more integrated in future. But what else we can expect, or how we can make it more integrated with the rest of the business, that when we talk about, let's say, new business plans, security is also thought about it, not just as an afterthought when it reaches IT.
Okay, thank you. In order for us to understand cybersecurity, and it's important, it is very essential that we have to understand the cyber environment, what the emerging technology. Then we can look at the risks that are evolving from the technology. So we don't understand the technology, the emerging trend, very difficult for us to come up with the cybersecurity approach to address those challenges. And what we can expect today, technology will become smarter and smarter. And today we can see that it is technology that tells us what to do. And even today, it is technology that measures our blood pressure and remind us before it become probably stroke or maybe a high blood. And it also measure our heartbeat and remind us before it become a heart attack. So it is technology. And the world at the same time become more connected. So meaning that cyber attack in the future will be more very advanced and also automated. And criminal, they won't attack us manually. They will use equal technology, automated and intelligence. And in the future, criminal will use smart tools to attack us. And these smart tools will study our system, will identify vulnerabilities, and in fact, these smart tools, through the use of artificial intelligence and machine learning, they can identify that weaknesses and exploit those weaknesses to penetrate our system, and maybe can hijack the whole network and automation. And for us to fight this sort of cyber attack, we have to use equal technology, artificial intelligence, and we have to be equally evolutionary. And of course, we have to use artificial intelligence to predict, to analyze, to anticipate, so that we can prescribe suitable solutions to address those emerging threats. And what are more challenging in the future also is we are become more connected, and we realize sometimes we create new digital ecosystem, and we create new business supply chains. So every link within that chain is very important, especially the security. And we have to manage the weakest link, because if one point within the link is compromised, the whole chain, especially in automation, will be compromised.
Absolutely.
It's machine to machine, and they are interconnected. What more, in Industry 4.0 environment, cyber and physical world are converging. So our digital system has impact on our physical life in the real world. For example, just imagine a cyber attack on a medical system that use automation. It can cause the loss of human life, because the attack on the digital system has impact on our life in physical world. Attack on a industrial control system that manage the generator, that control the pressure or the temperature. So the compromise of this control system may lead to the explosion in the industry. This is physical because of Industry 4.0, the connectivity and the interdependency between cyber and physical world. So this is the future. So what happens if a criminal attack the aircraft, compromise the navigation system, onboard computer system? It may lead to the crash of the aircraft. So this is new kind of a cyber threat or cyber attack in which we have to understand, and we have to adopt and apply the same technology, artificial intelligence, to predict and of course to apply suitable solution in a fast manner. There's no time for us to think, to plan. Everything is automated, and everything must happen in the speed of machine.
Correct. So thanks, Sazali. I think it was a great response, and I've been asked to wrap up because of the questions of time as well. So, but I guess I just want to take a few minutes to conclude our discussion. So, first of all, thanks a lot to all the panelists for this great discussion. I was trying to add my thoughts also in terms of this automation. I believe that whether we like it or not, it's part of our life, whether it's professional or personal life. It is going to happen. It will continue to happen. I also feel that the bad guys will transform faster than the good guys. That is also true. It's also part of playing a catch-up game. It's also part of survival as much as it's part of being ready for the future. So I just want to give everybody some of the key messages and learnings from today's discussion. Is that, do you want to be the late joiner in the party, or you want to be the early mover? And there are some obviously advantages in terms of the early mover. So I would say, since you have to be part of the change, why don't embrace this change? Why don't we are future ready as well as we are better prepared? And we take this also as a competitive advantage. Whether you think of from an individual perspective or you think from a company perspective, in both ways, automation, transformation is really, really helpful. And I'm sure you'll got some great insights and some key takeaways out of this discussion. So this is Ashutosh Jaiswal, signing off from my side, and I hope you had a good time. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Fantastic discussion, gentlemen. And of course, we've done so many segments till now that you know the drill, that you have to applaud for yourselves along with us. So a big round of applause to everyone.
Absolutely. Thanks, everyone.